Yes, sir. We're ready.
Ready? I'd like to call to order the City of Helotes Economic Development Corporation meeting. This is a special meeting out of the normal. We had to push back an extra week. Are there any citizens to be heard?
None that have signed up.
No? Okay. We'll move on to consent agendas, item 3 and 4. All consent agenda items listed below are considered routine by the EDC staff and are intended to be enacted in one motion. There will be no separate discussion of any of these items unless a director requests it, in which in the event, the item will be removed from the consent agenda and considered in its normal sequence on the agenda. Do we have a motion to approve consent agenda 3 and 4?
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
Craig has the motion and Sabrina seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Ayes have it. Move on. Items for individual consideration. Discussion and direction and possible action on the Helotes EDC proposed annual budget for the fiscal year ending in 2027. I'll turn it over to you, Kate.
Yes, sir. In your packet, you should have in front of you a series of slides that look like this. We reviewed this packet last night at the board's workshop. I'd like to go over this just really quickly for the purposes of refresh for those that were here and those that are joining us this evening. This first slide is a refresh of our budget workshop. The EDC budget workshop was held yesterday at 7 p.m. The outline of our budget workshop included a discussion of our mission, our vision, our 3-year picture, the rocks of the items that we need to accomplish, 1-year strategic work plan, our current fiscal year budget for 2026, our proposed fiscal year budget for 2027, issues outstanding, and by reference, the budget calendar. On the next slide, you'll see our core focus from our strategic work together on our strategic plan. Our purpose is really about prosperity. Next slide. Our purpose is prosperity. Our mission, collaborating with our community. We build a resilient, inclusive economy that nurtures entrepreneurship, grows local businesses, creates quality jobs, and preserves our small town character and quality of life. And our niche is strengthening the Helotes economy and creating a prosperous community while staying true to our roots. Our 3-year picture follows on the next page. On page 4 of your packet, it will show you the future date of 2029, which is 3 years from now, with an expected revenue at or above $3 million, with a fund balance at or above $4.5 million. Measurables include increased sales tax receipts, increased commercial property tax values, number of targeted niche businesses. And finally, what does success look like? Success will include new and expanded local retail sales options, an entrepreneurship center, business retention expansion program, which will help existing and new businesses thrive in creating new job opportunities as well. A thriving old town and Floors Country Store, hotel motel development with conference center, and then creation of Convention Visitors Bureau to help us really promote Helotes the right way. Our 1-year strategic work plan then follows on page 5 with a future date of October 1, 2027, a revenue at or above $2 million, measurables being sales tax receipts and performance agreements with targeted businesses. Modest goals for the year are being proposed as quality of life improvements at the city park and master plan are accomplished, development of an incentives program, attending City of Helotes leadership meetings, 3 weekly outreach touches to prospects in CRE retail, occupancy at the business center at 75% or greater, and then 3 to 4 business retention visits per month. These are modest goals, achievable within our existing resources as we continue to focus on recruitment. Our rocks are primarily recruitment, but while we do that, is strategic alignment between the EDC and the city is imperative and ongoing. We need to be able to focus on the goals that the city wants to achieve and be able to be strategically aligned to help the city achieve those goals. We held a CRE deal share in April and was very successful. Scott and I attended ICSC in May, and retail recruitment from that as follow-up is ongoing. We have an incentives program that we need to reignite for the EDC. Budget preparations, of course, going on currently. I propose a hotel feasibility study to be started in the first quarter of fiscal year 2027, a target industry study, RFP, as well in the second quarter of 2027, and then branding and refresh for marketing and website on our video. The next few slides outline our current fiscal year 2026 budget. The next slide on page 8 shows to you some of the challenges that exist with our current fiscal year budget, in that the budget does not really provide clarity, transparency, and ability to administer the budget quickly and easily. For example, the visitor center and operational expenses are two line items that are catch-all expenses associated with the business center, but don't really outline in more detail some of the costs associated with those operations, such as IT support, HVAC equipment, maintenance, Xerox copier, utilities, software, signage, etc. So that lack of clarity I'm trying to get past with this proposed budget. I'm proposing that we create a cost center associated with the business center, such that we are able to track those costs individually, separate and apart from those business center, separate from regular ongoing EDC programs. The revenues on page 9 are outlined with total non-property taxes and total revenues. Total non-property taxes, including sales tax of $2.5 million, and a slight increase of total non-property taxes to $2,558,000, and a total revenue line item of $2,948,000. That also includes this is the current fiscal year budget, and you'll see in the next few slides where we are in relation to our expenditures from 25 to 26. And then on page 11, you'll see the lengthy line items associated with current budget expenditures and contractual services. You'll see this is essentially, in a nutshell, the primary, that's primarily our budget in a nutshell, and on this one page identifying all of these various things, including debt service, advertising, audit fees, all together or rolled together in one section of our budget. And I'm proposing that we be able to focus on operational expenses being focused just on the business center itself. Total expenditures this year were budgeted at $2.9 million, which was a balanced budget for 2026. Next few slides talk about fiscal year 2027. The revenues are outlined here from fiscal year 25 to 26 to 27. You'll see that we are seeing a revenue line item of $3,514,409 for fiscal year 2027. That includes a use of fund balance of about $816,000. That is an increase from this current year, but it is to accommodate for one-time expenses, and I'll highlight those for you. On the following page is an outline of our administration and other personnel expenses. Salaries are proposed to be increased by 4% year over year from this year to next year at $180,000 for 2 personnel. Membership dues and licenses, as well as other expenses associated with personnel, I proposed rolling those up into a separate section so that we can track those individually. You'll notice that membership dues and licenses hovers just over $3,000. In fiscal year 2025, that number was $23,000. The reason for that difference is primarily because the software licenses are also rolled into that line item. I'm proposing a separate line item in our business operating costs to call out those licenses separately. Marketing includes the city of Helotes. We have an agreement with the city of Helotes for $35,000 a year, a managed services agreement with the city of Helotes, and then our total other expenses for personnel would be $78,150. The next page, page 16, is contractual services, including audit, bank fees, and legal expenses. A slight increase to round up to $4,000 for audit, from $3,800 to $13,000 for total contractual services. And then you'll see the expenses associated with the business center at the bottom of page 16 and continuing on to page 17. On page 17, you'll see the list of new line items that I'm proposing we are able to track separately, including the software licenses that I mentioned earlier. You'll see line items for utilities, office equipment, signage, IT support, janitorial, HVAC systems. These expenses have most recently been tracked as operational costs, and so you'll see a change on page 16 from $20,000 in operational expenses down to $5,000 as a result of separating out those costs into a cost center. Indirect economic development expenses have to do with programs that we will be managing and undertaking, specifically adding a line item for sponsorships, adding a line item for branding, and a line item for a drone video. Some of those costs can be rolled up into one line item, but I'm putting this in front of you to make you aware that those costs would be part of our proposal. Please stop me if I'm going too fast or if you have any questions. I just want to make sure I cover all of this. The debt service on page 19 is programmed according to our debt service tables, which are published in the city's budget. So those numbers are in line with our outstanding debt service that will be paid in fiscal year 2027. Grants, incentives, and other expenses are outlined on the bottom of page 19. To summarize, they would include $60,000 for facade improvements, $75,000 for business improvement grants, $6,275 for our parking lot lease in Old Town Helotes, $75,000 as a carry forward from last year or this year for a marketing branding agency, new development incentives of $75,000, and then arts grants of $20,000. On page 20, you'll see the proposed budget includes grants, incentives, and other expenses, including a 380 agreement reimbursement that continues from years prior. We also propose a hotel feasibility study of $5,000, hotel development incentives of $200,000, a target industry study of $15,000, destination retail incentives $100,000, new CRE or commercial real estate incentives program pilot at $20,000, and then Old Town signs. It's my proposal that we review and consider a program that would refresh the signage in Old Town and make it uniform and be able to reimburse costs associated with that to private landowners that own that property. That total grant, incentives, and other category comes to $1.7 million in total. And then following on page 21, our capital outlay budget includes a transfer out of $325,000. Master plan park improvements. Last night we talked about this number in fiscal year 2027 as $500,000. I'll tell you that I changed this number today administratively to increase it to $850,000, and I'll tell you why. That increase is associated with what we expect. What I expect right now is that the funds that are programmed in 2026 of $500,000 will not be committed or expended in this fiscal year. And it is my expectation that by the end of the calendar year, we will have accomplished phase 1 of the Parks Master Plan. Nonetheless, the funds are programmed in 2026. I'm proposing that we encumber and spend those funds in fiscal year 2027. And then finally, a new program I'd like to propose that we explore is a Helotes Walk of Fame with a total capital outlay of $1,190,000. And following up to this slide, you'll see a proposed visual concept of what I'm proposing that Helotes look to achieve in the next several years to create a Helotes Walk of Fame that profiles the legends of that have come through Helotes. Not only Willie Nelson, but many other country music greats have been here in Helotes and their journey through music has risen and started in Helotes. And so profiling those country music greats with a Helotes Walk of Fame seems like a great opportunity to create a destination that could drive additional visibility and interest and excitement to be in Helotes. So this is a proposal and a visual concept of what I have in mind for that. And then finally, the last slide, page 24, profiles the entire budget in its totality, a proposed budget of that includes all of these line items rolled up into a total expense budget of $3,822,409. That is the proposal. We would need to make some adjustments. This is obviously just an initial proposed budget. Things will change in the near future as the city goes through its budget process, but it's important that the EDC board have an opportunity to talk about and revisit and guide the decision making for the budget that will be adopted as well by the city council. Issues that remain on the agenda will need to be focusing on strategic alignment, recognizing that we have a lack of available commercial real estate property available, which is both a blessing and a challenge, simply because we don't have a lot of built real estate that is available for leasing. We ran into this issue, and so I think this is something that we need to recognize and address and work towards a solution to be able to make available additional real estate for commercial leasing. We need to focus on the diversification of our sales taxpayers. I'm hoping that the target industry study will help us identify and refine our list of targets for sales taxpayers as well as commercial real estate owners in the near future, and then really focusing on correcting the image that Helotes is in fact open for business. And finally, but not last or least, is the conversation that I believe we need to have as a community about annexation and expanding into the ETJ. I know that this is a bigger issue than one slide can really effectively address, but I wanted to remind everyone in the room about how important that will be for us to gain additional space. There is no more land being made, and so the greater opportunities that we have for commercial real estate in the near future, the better off we will be as a community to be able to provide additional services.
Thank you, Kate.
Yes, sir.
Do we have a motion to open up discussion or action on the budget?
So moved.
Moved by Austin. Second by Ellen.
What's that?
Seconded by Ellen.
Oh, second by Ellen.
Oh.
Okay.
This is great, Kate. Thank you for putting this together. This is fantastic. Summarizes, I think, everything we've been talking about. I don't have a ton of comments because we've been talking about this in different meetings and workshops. Just one quick question on the capital outlay. capital outlay, the transfer out for 325,000. What is that?
That is a,
Page 21.
yes, sir. That $325,000 transfer out is a transfer from us to the city of Helotes. It is a remaining transfer that supports the city's debt service. Is that correct, Henry?
Yes, that is correct.
That is not.
That is correct,
It is correct.
right? So there's an agreement between the EDC and the city regarding the 328.29 plus the 325 payments. And it's all surrounded by the two debts that are out there.
There was a 2015 certificate of obligation. So the EDC remits $325,000 to the city each year for 12 years to assist with paying the remaining balance of the debt service, which at the time was approximately $3.9 million. And this agreement was executed in July of 2022.
Okay.
Thank you for that clarification.
Did you say that was, I'm sorry, did you say that was executed in 2022?
Yes.
It goes back to 2015? Let's hear that.
Yeah.
That's correct.
It was the repayment of debt services related to projects associated with the 2015 certificate of obligation. I believe that was specifically related to the Old Town improvements.
Was it 12 years from 2015 or 20 years from the, 12 years from the execution of the contract there in 2022?
2.
So, a long, okay, got it.
That was the remaining balance at that time.
This looks great, Kate. Just, I mean, say it again, this looks really good. Yeah, I don't really have too much to comment on there. It's good.
Ellen, you had a second?
Yeah, I was here yesterday and asked any questions I had, and it looks really great. I'm super excited about the Walk of Fame. It's really, really cool, and the hotel feasibility study. So, you did a great job.
Thank you. Thank you all. You've done a lot of hard work to get us to where we are.
Sabrina?
I'm very excited about the Walk of Fame and also all of the branding and marketing to come.
A couple questions. One, the master plan park improvement, the increase from 500 to 850. Do I understand that to be the difference, meaning 350,000? Is that a fiscal year carryover?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
We're
It's
not using it in 26, so we're carrying that 350 over to 27.
correct.
That's what
Yes, sir.
Okay.
It would be what one would call an encumbrance. In most municipal financing, it's considered an encumbrance when you want to commit the funds, but you can't expend them quick enough until the end of the fiscal year. The project is currently in the design phase. We expect to have those designs completed in the next week to 2 weeks. And I'll answer that question now because the funds that we expect to spend for that project are in total $350,000 inclusive of the design fees. So that 350 would then carry forward, if not expended this fiscal year, then expended next fiscal year.
Could you also help me understand, where is the Old Town Helotes parking lot that we are leasing?
Behind Manders.
Behind,
Manders, yes. It's
Oh.
it's next to the antique,
It's across from
across from
Manders,
Manders.
so it's behind the Old Town Antique Depot, the red building.
behind that?
So
Okay.
Next to B Daddy,
Yeah.
it's adjacent to B Daddy's and Cheetah's back entrance along Bandera Road.
It's a non-paved, open land, right?
It's non-paved, open land.
Okay.
That's maintained by the owner, Mr. Terry Martin. And we,
see pays for to lease that lot, which is used during market days. And then the only other bill associated with it is a small CPS bill for the light.
Okay.
well, for the year. It includes, that's inclusive of utilities. It's $400 a month for the lease itself, and then utilities are in addition to that. So 400 times 12 is about $4,800 plus the utilities. Am I right about that? 12?
That sounds right. Yeah.
So my turn. I have no questions. We hashed out some of my questions last night when we went through this. I just want to thank Kate for getting us ahead of the game. And like she said, this is a draft. There's still plenty of room to tweak as more facts and data comes forward, right? And as Kate said last night, this approach is very conservative, right? We're not expecting, 20% sales tax growth, just the opposite, right? We expect it to stay relatively flat. I think that's what Kate said last night. So as usual, conservative, and if we're pleasantly surprised by the end of the year with a whole lot of money that data didn't plan that might show up, it's the best way. And it's right in line with the way the city does it as well.
Yes, sir. Today, the council had a budget workshop for a couple of hours here. And the forecasted revenues that I presented to you today are in line with the city's conservative forecasted revenues as well. It does not take into consideration some of the fluctuations that are happening right now in the market. Fortunately, one of our main sales taxpayers is doing better than was expected, but still, sales taxes are not a constant, and so we have to be cognizant of the fact that there's now a Sherwin-Williams, and now there is a McDonald's, and now there are other sales taxpayers that are coming online that are generating additional sales tax revenue. So we're trying to be very, very conservative on our projections.
Go ahead.
The marketing City of Helotes for $35,000, is that distinct and specific from the marketing and branding agency of $75,000?
Yes, sir. That's correct. The City of Helotes and the EDC have an ongoing relationship with regard to marketing, and that's identified by the $35,000. It falls into our personnel expenditures, simply because I know that the event specialist for the City of Helotes provides support that supports the market days, at least 10 a year, plus the Cornball Parade, plus the some of these other promotional events that happen during the year, like the 4th of July and the Christmas Parade. Those events are directly associated with this particular event specialist's job for the City of Helotes. So we support those efforts through this relationship. Actually, I've been in conversation with Ms. McGowan as well as with Henry to talk through some of the ideas that I have with regard to opportunities to make the most use of those services in the coming year. And so I'll be kind of going through those with Henry and keeping you up to date on how that looks. But we have a couple of things that have materialized, such as, for instance, the plaque installations for the sculptures in Old Town Helotes. We want to install those plaques. I need support, and that's something that Henry and I have touched on, as well as some other things that we still need to kind of hash out and what we can accomplish together. So the marketing and branding agency is intended to be focused on, additional public relations efforts, as well as really steering our marketing, branding, and looking at public relations to promote economic development and doing business in Helotes versus existing relationship with the City of Helotes. Does that make sense?
Yeah, thank you.
Yes, sir. And again, that number, that $75,000 is a carryover from last year. I don't have a specific timeline, but I have been talking with a couple of agencies that could be potential prospects for a request for proposal or request for qualifications to support our efforts in that way.
Well, overall, I think this looks fantastic. I appreciate everybody's work that's been put into this. I know that this is a group effort, but primarily carried by you two. So thank you for both of your hard work on putting this together. Do we have any action to take with this?
Is this something we need to approve at this point, or is it just a discussion?
It was listed as discussion, direction, and possible action. If you wanted to make changes to it, obviously that would be something that could fall in the discussion part of this conversation, or you can choose to say, great job, keep up the good work.
My concern about approving it is we're
Yes.
just going to have to approve it again, because
Yes.
I expect there's going to be tweaks and changes, just like you described with city support. Those numbers will change as the city's working through their process simultaneously with the EDC.
Yes, sir.
So my recommendation would be that we just, it was just a discussion, not take action. Great job. Keep up the
Good job.
work.
Good job.
Good job.
Thanks, all.
Okay, moving on to agenda item number 6. Discussion, direction, and possible action on proposed incentive program for commercial real estate brokers to incentivize attraction of targeted industries to Helotes, Texas. Kate? Oh,
Do you need a motion?
I think it's information,
Discussion?
right?
Sounds right.
I don't have.
Do you need a motion to open discussion, or do you need to present the item? How would you like me to present?
I think present the item and then we'll
Just
action.
got it. Okay. This item is is a follow-up to a previous discussion held in April. At the April 15th EDC board meeting, staff presented a proposal to bring forward an incentives program for commercial real estate agents and brokerages to encourage recruitment of targeted businesses that generate both sales tax revenue, expand economic development, enhance visitor attraction, and support our strategic economic development goals of the city of Helotes. The Helotes Commercial Real Estate Incentive Program proposes to provide a financial incentive to commercial real estate brokers and agents to help recruit targeted industries to Helotes, Texas. This incentive would be in addition to the broker's commissions. The recruited businesses would fall within one or more of the following targeted categories, including destination retail, full-service restaurants, steakhouses, breakfast and brunch concepts, cafes and coffee concepts, sandwich and lunch restaurants, healthy grocery and specialty food concepts, boutique hotels, distilleries and craft beverage producers, luxury Western apparel retailers, premium boot and leather goods retailers, high-end Western lifestyle brands, and other destination-oriented retail, hospitality, entertainment, tourism generating uses approved by the EDC board. Any incentive payment under this program would have a minimum projected 5-year sales tax return of at least 3-to-1 or 5-to-1 return on investment relative to the incentive amount. This would create a clear public benefit test and helps demonstrate that EDC funds are being invested in projects that produce a measurable return to the community. Included in your packet are 2 items: the draft commercial real estate program policy, as well as a draft request for qualifications. I am proposing in the annual budget a commitment as a pilot of $20,000, a pilot meaning an initial investment of $20,000 with 2 potential 1-year extension options. The intention of this program is to be able to bring about and target commercial real estate agents to bring businesses to Helotes to help increase our reach and incentivize the agents themselves. This would be implemented through a master services agreement, which would be entered into after the EDC solicits statements of qualifications from qualified commercial real estate brokerage firms interested in entering into a master services agreement through which the agents, or rather the brokerages, would be able to receive incentive compensation in addition to customary brokerage commissions for successfully recruiting qualifying targeted businesses to Helotes. I would also add that I think that it's important that the EDC board have the ability to adjust the targets as well on a moving forward basis. Once we have a targeted industry study to strengthen the ability of our targeting of individual targeted industries, I think that the ability of the organization, the EDC, to amend its list of targets will be critical.
Do we have a motion to open discussion or action?
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
Motion by Craig, seconded by Sabrina.
So Kate, I know you brought this up, was it last month? And we had a representation from the law firm that supports both the EDC and the city.
Yes, sir.
And at that time, they said, we believe all of this is legal. Any final words on that? Anything changed from what the lawyer that works with Frank Garza?
I asked Mr. Beck if he could be available here tonight to answer any questions that the board had. Unfortunately, he was called away and was unable to attend. He is available by phone. If you'd like, I can try to reach him through phone. But to answer your question, no. In fact, when I sent him those documents that are in your packet, he reviewed them. He did not have any changes to them, and he supported the proposed language that I had presented.
That was my question. I had no pointed questions legally to him. I think we were all our head nods were north and south when he made his presentation to us, like I said, a month or so ago. We were all excited that we're going to try to do something that many parts of Texas have never done before, if at all.
Yeah.
So, and this gets after that itch of trying to target businesses that the community says that they really want to see in the community. I just think this is a brilliant idea. As far as the mechanics go, I need you to restate a pilot. Once we vote for this and we want to implement, assuming that's what's going to happen, so are we just we're going to do can you explain the pilot concept to me?
Sure, and thank you for that clarifying question. A pilot is intended to be kind of a one-time trial period for a year to see how it goes. So I'm budgeting at $20,000 as a pilot to see if that is
No, I'm tracking.
a pilot, in other words, to determine if that is an adequate level, or if we need to renew it, or if we choose to suspend it.
So the pilot is really the time frame, right? And
Correct.
minimal investment. Are we looking for multiple brokers? Or are we looking like for just one and two, right? The small, crawl, walk, run concept, right? Is that what we're talking?
I was thinking crawl, walk, run in terms of financial commitment. We can certainly make a run at $100,000 for, an initial investment on behalf of the EDC. My inclination is always to hedge conservatively to see if it works and work in that direction, and be able to renew it on a one-year basis, on an annual basis during the budget process. I know that $20,000 may seem like a small number, but it is a number to start, kind of the process of determining that that the program is operating the way you fundamentally want it to see. For instance, being able to solicit requests for qualifications and enter into master services agreements with each of those brokerages would then give us the ability to measure out those incentives to the brokerages.
So I'll let the other board members share their thoughts. I guess my question is, your thought, your intent with this information tonight, is it your hope that we actually take action on it? Or are you looking for just a final discussion point before you bring it to us for action?
I would prefer to have your initial conversation at this time. It is, does that answer your question?
It does.
I would expect that the board would want to take time to kind of sit with it and determine if this is
Me.
if this is
Okay.
something that you want to move forward with, or in what manner, or if there are things that we want to adjust to it. I am expecting conversation about this discussion item tonight.
Sounds cool. All right, thank you. Done.
I just want to commend you on your creativity. I think this is an excellent idea. I also like that we'll be the first to do it. We may not be the only one for very long, so the sooner you can get started on it, I think the better. But I do appreciate having some time to kind of go through it, and perhaps we can revisit it on next month's agenda.
Yes.
But I think this is excellent, and don't want to hold you up too long.
No, but I do think that once the board makes the decision favorably, in my hope, is that we will be in a position to be able to publicize that and market it to commercial real estate brokerages to make them aware of it, because I can tell you right away, it will really generate a lot of lead generation almost immediately, I would expect. I know that it's a small number, but it's a number to start with. We can change that number that's proposed at $20,000 to another number if the board felt comfortable with it. I'm proposing it at a number where we can get started, but I don't want to run quicker than we can walk just yet. But I'm also conservative in my projections.
I think it's great. It's innovative. It's, you know, really thinking outside the box, and you're always problem solving. I love it. I think it's really great.
I'm sorry, Ellen, I
No,
couldn't.
I just said I think you're always problem solving. You're a really creative solution to really attract businesses to come here, and I think it's wonderful. And like Sabrina said, I think that we won't be the only ones for long. So
Yeah,
it's great.
kind of exciting.
I think it's really creative. My question is, are the incentives large enough in order to create that interest and enthusiasm? Because I'm looking at the maximum incentive amounts and wondering whether or not, if I'm a commercial real estate brokerage or broker, if I'm bringing in a rather substantial potential client, is a $1,000 or $2,000 incentive impactful?
I would agree with you 100%, Scott. I again came to you with a number that is low on purpose so that you can make the adjustments accordingly. I would think that a modest bump like that is not that significant will not generate as much interest as, say, a larger incentive would. For instance, if you were to look at the sales tax revenue maximum incentives up to $10,000, maybe there are some different ranges that we can adjust accordingly. But I'm certainly open to the board's discussion and determination in that regard. I agree with you, it's not a big number. And
It's basically a 1 to 2% of a 5-year incentive, tax incentive, right? That's kind of what you're.
yes, yes.
Okay.
Along those lines, could you just explain the projected 5-year municipal sales tax revenue? Is that, we're talking of the sales tax, is that just the portion that is actually collected by the municipality? Or is that the,
It would be the portion that's collected by the municipality.
so what is that altogether, 2.5-ish? I don't even,
Max to
Maximum two.
so $50,000. So that'd be $2.5 million in sales, in taxable sales, that somebody would have to create?
Mm-hmm.
I'm not, that feels kind of big to me. Is that a big, that feels like a big company?
Feels real big.
It's not big, but it's not, you know, somebody working out of a garage kind of thing, and therefore you're looking at $1,000 incentive to bring in a $2.5 million
Like what?
Oh, no, that's a 5-year number.
That's a 5-year number, so.
5-year number.
a
So you have to
10
divide
So half-
it by
half
five.
a million
$10,000 a year.
$10,000 a year.
I'm trying to tether it to like an expectation, like what kind of, it doesn't have to be specific, like what
I think
would,
a McDonald's.
that's what I was, yeah, how
would
much would
probably bring
McDonald's,
Something like that, right?
I don't know, how much in sales? So McDonald's.
McDonald's, potentially.
So I'm just, again, I'm trying to think through, if a broker brings a McDonald's, we give them an extra $500?
Well, it has to be lined up with whatever.
Yeah, right, with
target.
the target incentive.
Because McDonald's may not be the thing.
Well, if you were to look at a 5-year municipal sales tax, revenue, I certainly think there's room for adjustment on this revenue incentive grid that we can look at ranges. I do think that $10,000 a year for 5 years of up to $50,000, which is the 5-year, would merit more than the proposed maximum incentive that's listed there. $500 seems like a very small number compared to, really incentivizing a project or incentivizing someone to bring a project. That's going to be a minimal response to that, I would expect. But I'm very much open to your direction on this.
And it says maximum incentive, so I'm reading here, this would be, again, this is all theoretical, I'm trying to wrap my head around this, it's like a sample of what this looks like. So
Excuse me.
if somebody comes along, brings something that meets kind of our targeted incentive strategy, it looks like there's some subjectivity to the board talking about this, making sure it works within our master plan. And then is there subjectivity in maximum incentive, so we would set a number? Or is that like if, I guess it depends on the projections, but let's say something comes in with a projection between 100 and 250,000. $150,000, 5-year municipal sales tax revenue. It says maximum incentive 2,500. So that means we could award half of that at the time?
You could, if you set the maximum incentive at, say, $2,500, you could go up to $2,500 in that bracket. It is a minimal number, obviously.
I'm just wondering how we would determine, I'm just thinking out
How you
loud,
would
how would we determine if everybody gets the 2,500, or if we like the colors in this logo more, so it's, I don't know. Just kind of thinking through what that looks like.
I think that the incentive payment should be based on projected municipal sales tax generation. What that actual incentive number looks like
Okay.
could be subject to adjustment, and not, what I mean by that is when setting the policy, deciding the amount that would be awarded to a project that brings $25,000 to, $100,000 a year or in sales tax revenue would merit significantly more than what is projected here. These are very modest, honestly.
And this would be theoretically awarded at the completion of the tenant move-in, like the execution of the lease, they moved in, they're doing business. It wouldn't be like a clawback that we'd see in a grant or anything like that.
Correct. It would be the,
I think once they get a certificate of occupancy, that'd be the
once the certificate of occupancy is issued and the,
Trigger.
So I'm just thinking the same thing we have with grants, right? Like it'd be a bummer to get like a big tenant and then for whatever reason, again, I understand these aren't massive numbers, but I wonder if instead of, I don't know, just thinking out loud here, think it'd be, I'm all for boldness. People respond to incentives, people respond to bigger incentives. So I'm all for considering these numbers and potentially increasing them. I wonder if it would be wise to, instead of upfront, build in some residual, like hey, if they actually stay on target for the first 12 months of the 5-year projected municipal sales tax revenue, then you get that second $2,500 in 13 months or something like that. I don't know. Just to actually incentivize placement of businesses that are more viable potentially. I don't know, just,
I think you're kind of moving towards the business side of it, not them bringing it to us.
Incentive.
So that you're incentivizing the real estate company, not the business themselves.
Correct.
yeah, but I mean, if you bring, right, if you, I'm not a realtor, but I would think, hey man, close something, you get $2,500, and then if they're still there in 13 months, they get another $2,500. I don't know.
Okay.
That's kind of
I track now.
food for thought. But this looks great. I love the idea, love the creativity, love the concept. I can't believe, I think in our discussions, like, I'm unaware of any other Texas community doing this, so
And that's why I think that it merits the adjustment on the values as well.
I think it's a great idea. I don't want to kick it off and have it fizzle out because we didn't put the right numbers in.
Correct.
I don't want to kick something off and not have it have enough momentum that it doesn't succeed and then it goes away. So I just think that the only action that I see is we need to understand this. We need to come up with some understandable, not specific examples, but more of a business is going to need to have $5 million per year in sales at a 2% tax rate in order to hit that $500,000, on your, and then it's only $5,000. I think we need to make sure that we're aligned and we all understand.
Sure.
It's a great idea. Let's make it work.
I agree 100%. I do think that your direction is spot on, and I know the direction that is being suggested right now. So let me go back and do some additional work on this matrix to give you a better sense of how and the best way forward to incentivize real commercial real estate brokerages to come to the
The
table.
unfortunate thing is we have no way to model this off of.
Well,
You know, so that's, so.
maybe not in Texas.
we're-
Are there somewhere else in the country that you've seen this? Or is this a Kate special?
It's a Kate special.
This is something that even Frank Garza said, oh, I didn't know this could be done. So no, I'm not trying to, yes, it's a Kate special.
Okay.
It's something that's unique and innovative, and I think could be a very creative way to incentivize and increase deal flow. I would encourage the board to strengthen the incentive package to a brokerage such that it is not only that it's attractive and will yield the kind of results that we really want to see.
would it be, you look like you, sorry, the hands were going, I'm sorry, cutting in. Would it be possible, maybe just like the next time we discuss this, I'll do some of my own kind of investigation, but maybe like a little Goldilocks, like too little, too much, or just right, like just kind of a range would be helpful, I think, to see. Or whatever you think that is, that's subjective.
I think if we had
You would,
model-
I feel like that would be I feel like you'd be good at that.
If we had model businesses to kind of,
Imagine what.
look at names, kind of get an idea, what would an average commission be on something like X, Y, and Z?
That's excellent.
And then after we know that, then we can kind of better place where we would be competitive to incentivize.
Perfect.
And, yeah.
So,
Thank you
so
for that input.
my last comment on this is timing is perfect to get this in place. I don't know if the commercial piece, no ground has been broken yet up there on Scenic Loop, that property. But the developer that's doing all that, struggling to find businesses to want to take hold there. So, right, I mean, we've been told multiple things and then they all kind of fell through. We can drive the city's destiny and help developing with this and other initiatives that we're looking at to help fill out the right businesses. We're incentivizing brokers to bring the businesses that the community say they want to see, right? So there's so much potential in this. I'm excited.
Thank you.
I think what we also need to look at is just on our target industries, we need to prioritize them. And what I mean by that is not by how we want them, but they kind of give us an idea on size. So you take a steakhouse, for instance, you've got a lower end, a medium end, and a high end steakhouse. Pick several of these industries that we really want to use to gather our information based off of.
Got it.
Any further discussion? Okay,
Thank you.
no action taken. Okay. Moving on to item number 7, discussion of proposed revisions of the City of Helotes Economic Development Corporation bylaws as amended under Resolution 24 to 35 on December 12th, 2024. I think since it's not, we should probably open up discussion since it's our board members discussing it.
I move that we open discussion.
I'll second.
Moved by Sabrina, seconded by Austin. And y'all are presenting, so how do y'all want to do that?
So let me just provide a little bit of framework. I think this is essentially the best practices update that's going to be focused on our board effectiveness, strengthen our governance practices, and more clearly clarify our roles and responsibilities. For full transparency, I was on city council and voted for the changes that were made in December of 2024. I think some of the changes in hindsight could be improved, basically. I think that clarifying the role of the board members, and city council, and the role of the mayor. I think there's a little bit of room for improvement. And so what I've put into the executive summary, if you have a chance to look at that, and then also the document behind is our current bylaws. And I can walk you through what some of the changes were. Starting with Article 2, I'm suggesting that we revise the authority to recommend appointments of new board candidates and submit proposed nominations of directors to the board to council for approval of any member. Right now, the nomination authority lies solely with the mayor. It used to lie with the board, and I don't see a reason why the board shouldn't be able to play a role in nominating people for vacant positions. And this is truly just a discussion item. I would like for everybody to weigh in. Austin and I did have a meeting with Kate and kind of gave her a little bit of the background and history, but I mean, this has to be a board decision if we decide to make any changes and which changes we make. The other thing that right now, the responsibility of the public solicitation of board candidates has been with the city, and our staff has doubled at the EDC recently, which is wonderful. I don't know if that responsibility for soliciting board candidates should rest with the EDC staff. The other thing that I looked at was, and this has come up in some of our prior meetings as far as the location of our board meetings. I know that's been debated a little bit, whether we can hold the meetings over at the business center or we hold them here. And I know that there's accessibility issues. I looked at the bylaws of 5 other EDCs, and our bylaws are very specific about where our meetings are held. Other EDCs, I'll say 4 of the 5 that I looked at did not put in a specific address. It just said within the city limits. Just something to consider. And then some of the other things I wanted to point out, under Article 3, officers and corporate officials, there was, one of the items that we talked with Kate about was the treasurer position. And the way I read the description of the treasurer in our current bylaws sounds like it's the city's finance director. Other EDCs have very, I would say, more general descriptions for the treasurer position on the board. Obviously, we need the city's finance director to do some things for the EDC, but having a treasurer position as a member of the executive committee, someone who could maybe work with Kate and with Daniel at the city. I don't know what people's thoughts are about that, but I don't think it's a bad idea.
I think it's a great idea.
And also on section 3.7 about the executive director, as far as the hiring, the nominating, and the appointment process for the executive director. I think there's some wording in there that could be improved as far as where the authority lies. And the other thing that Austin and I have talked about, and Austin can probably elaborate on this better, is section 3.9, conflict of interest. Right now, our bylaws prohibit any board member from serving as a board on any chamber of commerce. I think that's pretty restrictive. I don't know that that's a benefit to the board. I know in the past, if our chamber of commerce came to the EDC board with a sponsorship opportunity, for example, I think we did have a board member who was on the board and he recused himself.
Correct.
I think that would be the appropriate action. I don't think we need to restrict board members from serving on the boards of any chambers. And it also applies to the executive director position. Those are just...
I think that you're right on all of those. My biggest concern is the conflict of interest on all of them, they're very good, but when it comes to serving as a board member, where we're going to be spending funds, that's where my only concern would be.
Right.
And that's kind of where everything stemmed from in the past with some issues that I don't want to have those issues come back to haunt
Right.
again.
Right.
That's me personally, and the only one sitting up here that actually went through all of this at that time.
From an EDC, from an EDC.
From an EDC perspective, yes, from an EDC perspective, I should say that, sorry. I know y'all were right there with me through that.
You had the hardest job.
It was just looking at the whole situation. So I don't want to end up in that particular type of situation again. I think that it would be good, no matter what, to have presence everywhere. You know, the more that we have, that's obviously better. But with the executive director specifically, I think that one should not be.
Okay.
And I don't know if that's, we don't want to, no, I'm not going to go there, because I don't know. Some things are private when we start talking about contracts and stuff, so I don't know about some of the wording on that particular issue.
Yeah.
Right, and as well as, I think, if we were going to make a change there, I think obviously Frank Garza's team has to look at that. Because I've heard him with numerous opinions on this topic, and so, is it my turn to talk, so awkward moment for me, because I went through all the craziness back in 2024. Me and another council member actually proposed and championed these changes to the article in the bylaws. And the reason was not to, and I'm gonna stay very high level in general, there was a lot of things not happening. And prior to, in 2021, to other city council members, came to council and said, hey, the previous administration was really heavy-handed, and I believe the city administrator was also the executive director.
Yes.
So the city was ultimately kind of running the EDC. There was quorum things not happening. Well, anyways, so they convinced us, it's like, yeah, more autonomy to the EDC. It really makes sense, right? It's a corporation with city oversight. So we voted for it. And we still provided our city council oversight as mandated by state law. But when it came to finding replacements for board of directors, wouldn't happen. That's why city council members ultimately had to be placed on the EDC board. I'm not pointing fingers at anybody. It's just that nobody was actively looking for qualified people to be on the board. It's just a fact. And one person I remember, they came forward and their resume was not even in the ballpark, not even close. So that area was struggling. There was just other things the board wasn't doing. So they had all this autonomy, but they weren't standing up for what they were responsible. Some people were, but not as a group whole. So,
I hear what you're saying, and I think that our goal as a board should be able to produce bylaws that would work for the city, the board, but not be written around, past personnel, I will say. And I
agree
think
with you.
the changes were made because of past personnel. There is a part in our, in the bylaws that did remain unchanged, which is the board members serve at the pleasure of the council. So if there's an accountability issue, or if the city council saw that the board was not fulfilling its fiduciary duties, it always had the option of removing board leadership or board members.
And I don't disagree with you, except we had vacancies, and then when the EDC had the autonomy to go ahead and nominate their own, they weren't coming up with qualified people.
Yeah.
Right? Anyways, that was a time and a place, and that was a response to a problem. And it reminds me a lot of how we do things in the military. There's a little bit, the pendulum always kind of goes a little bit too far left to solve a problem, and maybe that's just life and business in general. And then to correct it, they go a little bit too far right. At the time, I firmly believed, and that's why I championed this for council to change the bylaws in the art. Things have changed. We've got 2 staff members, one being one of the best executive directors I've ever been around. We've got a board of proactive, very energized board of directors. So I think there's room to make some changes to it, absolutely. So I'm open to supporting changes. There's nothing that clearly right now what we're talking about concerns me. If the board does what it's supposed to do and what it's chartered to do, and we've got highly qualified people, full-time employees, we should be able to do this. And so I'm open to it. I'm just saying, since I was part of that change, I'm just letting the EDC board of directors know I'm not going to be the stick in the mud that pushes back. Things have changed. So we'll see what the council says when we go forward. So,
But, I mean, it's a lot of things to consider. I have full confidence in this board and in the corporation. And I think some of the operational items in here, they're very standard for the EDC to manage on its own. And it's not, I don't feel like it would create a divide between the board and the city. It just clarifies the roles. It certainly doesn't lessen the communication or the reporting or anything like that. It's just, you know, we do have to remember it is an independent organization. And I would just support returning some of that autonomy back to the board.
My last comment, everything you're saying is resonating with me, Sabrina. One of the things that's in here and what I'm hearing from the board of directors and really hearing it from Kate is alignment with the city, right? There's a relationship between leadership here on the EDC, between Kate and the city administrator and all the key departments on city staff. It wasn't always like that. So some of it is attitude and some of it is putting in a strategic plan that says, are we aligned? We're always asking our question, is what we're doing aligned with the city? So, so we're already discussing those kind of things already. So that's in line with looking at potentially changing some of the wording and some of the roles and responsibilities. So I'm open to it, definitely open to it.
Yeah, I think these are objectively logical changes. Yeah, well, I mean, I think if you were to take, a couple steps back and just recreate this from go, these would kind of be, I think, the most logical destination or endpoints for how an organization like this would run. Passes water under the bridge, but I think a lot of this entity is, figuring itself out. The EDC's been around a while, but we, with Kate now, I think we're doing things that we really haven't even tried before. So I think a restoration back to things that are logical, that provide framework for people to understand and take ownership. Yeah, I think this is just straightforward stuff. I remember when this happened, I was personally affected by Section 3.9 and had to abandon my the remaining term of my as a director on the Chamber of Commerce I was chairing at the time, and still had a year left, not as chair, but as a director, and had to step away. I mean, since the venue is here, I'll just say, I don't think that is really the place of a government entity to tell a non-government entity what directors can and can't serve on that board. I just think that's an overstep. The Chamber of Commerce, for instance, it's just simply not, it's not a city entity, not related to the city. It shares a name with the city, but it's not. And so I think it's, I didn't love that at the time. But we all going through that, we all had to meet somewhere. So that's, I think all these are straightforward.
We had to go through that in order to get to this point. And overall, it's strengthened us tremendously. And Kate, kudos to you because you brought it to this point for us, and I really appreciate that. And moving forward, just to reiterate what my concern would be, I would be fine with any director on the board serving on anything, but I feel like the executive director should not.
I would, this is not my role to tell you, and obviously this is a decision that resides with the board and the board alone. I will concur that the EDC board, that the EDC director has responsibility first and foremost to the EDC, and so anything that collides with that responsibility, in my mind, competes unnecessarily with it. I will say that I would direct everyone's direction back to our strategic plan, where our focus is really on prosperity and how we can collaborate with our community. We build a resilient, inclusive economy that nurtures entrepreneurship, grows local businesses, creates quality jobs, and preserves our small town character and quality of life. I know that there are things that have happened before my time. I'm grateful for the opportunity to serve. I do want to just always fundamentally go back to what is our cause, what is our purpose, what is our mission. Our mission is to create jobs and to build, prosperity in our community. So the things that I can do, that we can do as the EDC, always have to be tied to that. That's my opinion. I'm just offering my thoughts.
Thank you.
I'll just add, I'm not opposed to the ED not being on other boards in general. I mean, whether it's a chamber or not, and it just, yeah, I mean, there's so much to focus on in the regular scope of work. I'm not opposed to that. Yeah. Right, does that make sense, the way I said that?
I think I understood what you meant.
Yeah, I guess I'm fine with continuing to prohibit the executive director from being on the Chamber of Commerce Board of Directors. But
My biggest concern is just the money goes there. We sponsor things that they do.
They're a
And
tenant too.
They're a tenant. There's a lot of, it's optics, yes, absolutely. So, but, you know, if it's one of us that decides to do something like that, and I know you're a victim of circumstance due to that time frame, but moving forward, I think it would be fine, because you can recuse yourself, just like some of our past members have done. And we would all know. It's not like you could hide that. So it's upfront, honest, and on top of the table.
I think it just helps to streamline operations, to have some of those, decisions in-house. Makes a lot of sense. And I love the idea of having a treasurer. I think that's very standard, like you said. And numbers tell a story, and I think when we make decisions, having those facts in front of us are really important. So someone on the board really being in step with what Kate's saying, I think it makes your job easier, and it really helps too for us to make informed decisions, to have someone on the board looking at that along the way, and really for oversight as well. So I think they're great changes, and they're really logical, like you said, and very standard for what.
I want to jump back to one other thing, which is where we have our meetings. I think it's important that we do have the ability to have a meeting in our office and do whatever we need to do in order to make accommodations, however the verbiage needs to be read, however that needs to work. And I'm not talking about meetings like this, but like our budget meeting, where we can have a round table. I feel like when we're in a round table, we're more productive. We can actually all see each other, and we're not looking left, looking right, and looking all around. So I think that's of utmost importance to me personally.
And maybe the wording is primary EDC board meetings will be held here, secondary facility or something, right?
Workshops.
Yeah, because this is the primary place. And
Right.
I don't know, you guys have been on EDC longer than me, how many, I know council meetings, this has been full when there's an issue or one agenda topic that comes up, and sometimes there's a lot of people in there with a lot to be said. And we just have to assume there may be moments like that, we have to provide that opportunity. And the conference room's not that big.
I think that if we're gonna have something that was a heated issue, topic, whatever, then it should be here. But we would know that ahead of time. But when it comes to our budget meeting and our goal meetings and things of that nature that we're bringing back here to openly discuss, everybody's invited, but, I mean, we have the best turnout we've had this year right now. So.
Thank you, guys. As long as we meet whatever state rules, we can't go wrong.
100%.
So if we can accommodate that particular rule set to hold meetings older than 5, I mean, how hard is it really? I mean, isn't it just make a way so somebody like in a wheelchair can get in? And probably you gotta have the buttons, so you can, I don't know the rules, but.
I would think that there's gotta be some kind of verbiage or something to the effect of, if you need special accommodations, contact us within a certain time frame so that we can make that happen for you.
I have actually consulted Frank Garza on this topic, because I know that the board has expressed interest in having board meetings in its own in its own conference space. My advice from Frank is that it's a federal law to make it accessible. Right now, our space itself is accessible. It's been registered as such. However, the building itself is not. And so therefore, as a result, we need to be accommodated with regard to parking, which is an issue with that particular facility. Right now, there's no handicap parking, and in order to make handicap parking accessible, but they would need to take up 2 parking spaces, which there's limited spaces to begin with right now. So I believe that the appropriate thing to do would be to the extent that that the property can be made accessible or is accessible. That is a primary consideration. So I would advise the board to consider, including accessibility as one of the qualifications, so that we stay on, in the right direction. And certainly, I believe the landlord is looking to make accommodations and changes to parking such that there would be accessible parking nearby, or next to and between us and Texas Car Wraps. But until then, we can't yet meet there, but I am working hard to see how we can make that happen.
If,
We could say that this is the primary location, or if it's not available, an accessible location that is accessible within the city limits.
Within the city limits.
Okay.
And certainly.
So if something changes over there one day.
I'd like to reach out to the landlord myself, because I do have an idea that's out of the box from what's probably been discussed over there, just because I have some knowledge of the building.
Mhm.
Let's see if I can maybe help with making a space where there's no space right now.
Understood.
Couple comments. One, if we were to have a meeting over there and you had executive session, where would you go?
I don't know that all of your normal, regular meetings would be there. It would be circumstantial, like if it's voting.
Special meeting.
Special meeting,
Like a budget.
yeah, all of our regular meetings should be here.
Executive session. That's how you do it.
So like we've been there for the strategic planning workshop. So have a cllosed session,
Have a closed session.
a budget workshop.
Well, I guess in reality, we could go to closed session, close the curtains, close the door. And
Make everybody leave.
Just kick it around.
it's, yeah.
Like we do in the HOA.
Physically,
Just asking.
I mean,
physically,
Okay.
the EDC offices are configured such that the space that Myra currently sits in wasn't initially intended to be an executive session conference space. If that were the case, and an executive session were to need to occur, presumably the board could convene into my office and kick me out and have an executive session in my office. Should that that accommodation need to be made?
So everything that was laid out by board members all makes sense to me. I would actually like to see it in like a red line, to be able to read the changes more specifically than that would just be the next step, right?
My bullets, yes.
Yeah, your bullets are great. I
Yeah.
think the ideas are all very logical, and I just would want to see how that would lay out.
That would be the next step, initially just to get everybody's thoughts on, is this even a good idea? And then I can work with Kate and Myra to do a red line based on what we talked about, and then have that on next month's agenda. And
Discussion and action.
then go to Frank, and then come to council. Easy peasy, right?
Yes, I love it. Any other discussions? Okay.
Oh, it's a separate one, I'm sorry, I was just gonna,
Jump ahead.
it's the next one, so.
Okay.
Do we
We're gonna
have any
send-
action to have it move to the next step of the red line, or is
Just direction,
I think that's just, yeah.
that? Okay.
This was just discussion of proposed revisions. So once we have revisions, then bring those
We
back
take
to
action
you.
on the revisions.
Correct.
We good?
Yes.
Okay, moving on. Action item number 8, discussion and proposed revision of the City of Helotes Economic Development Corporation Articles of Incorporation as amended under the Resolution 24 through 36 on December 12th, 2024. Do I have an action to begin discussion?
That we begin discussion on item number 8.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Austin. Motion by Sabrina, seconded by Austin.
Well, this one is just one thing that's small, and I don't know if this is in the city's charter, but the registered agent for the EDC is the city secretary. Other EDCs that I reviewed, it was the executive director of the EDC. I don't know if that is a necessary change. Or if it's a change that can be made without that out there.
Point of order, and really a question, even if there's a change, does it need to be a name?
No, it shouldn't be.
Because a name change causes the document to change every time a person swaps out.
Yeah.
Yeah, it should be the
Okay.
title, right?
So
Title.
it's the title.
Yeah, just the title.
Yeah.
Thank you for that, Henry.
Thank you.
And I'll give comments on the last subject directly to the executive director later,
Okay.
unless y'all want to reopen that, but you probably don't.
I mean,
Don't do it.
No?
okay. Do it. We're gonna do that. Okay, is there any other discussion on that specifically? And I think Henry said it all, so.
Job, Henry.
Okay, moving on. Action item number 9 is a closed session in accordance with the provisions of Chapter 551, Subchapter D, Texas Local Government Code, to include the following. Section 551.074, deliberation regarding personnel matters, deliberate on the appointment, employment, evaluation, reassignment duties, discipline, or dismissal of a public officer or employee, the executive director. And we will be moving into closed session at 20:28. Okay. We ended closed session at 21:14. The discussions in the back room were productive and helpful, I believe, for all of us. And no action was taken. Moving on to the staff reports. We've got the parking lot improvements at the Helotes Fitness Park and disc golf course.
Yes, sir. Regarding the parking lot improvements at the Lotus Fitness Park and Disc Golf Course, I'm told that we are at nearly complete on design as of this week. My expectation is that design will be solidified in the next 2 weeks, and following that design, then we'll be able to go out for bid shortly thereafter. I'm staying in touch with Corey at Public Works to ensure that we're on target, but for now, I'll keep you posted on the progress. Regarding installation of signage for the Helotes Business and Visitor Center, I've received one bid from Texas Car Wraps for that installation of $2,000 for that installation. I'm waiting for a second bid to come from Robert Fite, and I'm hoping to try to find a third bid as well. If you know of anyone else that might be a qualified contractor that we could look to, please let me know who else I might look to. I will continue to look, but I just wanted to let you know that we are in progress trying to get that wrapped up.
I'd like to try and keep that in Helotes, and I do have someone in mind, so I'll reach out to him and see if he's open to it.
Perfect, thank you. With regard to the sculpture placard installation for public art in Old Town Helotes, yesterday I met with Kimberly Verity and with Sabrina to talk about the placards and installation and recognition of the artists that created both the traffic circle installation, but also the 4 karst sculptures that are on Bandera Road that were purchased by and installed by the EDC, but do not have placards on them either. August is American Artist Appreciation Month. I would like to be able to recognize these folks either in person at the board meeting or at an event, ideally to recognize and appreciate art. It is my proposal that the EDC accept the installation of art in our conference room from the Helotes Art Gallery. That would be, actually, they would be considered to be reproduction art, not the actual full, original art. But it would be an opportunity to both beautify our conference room and also invite the public to enjoy art from Helotes that they could then purchase. It's something that I think will add some life to the business center. I would like to propose to have an event that would both appreciate the installation of that art sometime in the August timeframe to involve perhaps some wine and cheese and maybe some public figures to enjoy, an evening to, appreciate, our artists and the art that would be installed. If there's no objections to that, I know it's not technically on the agenda, but we can discuss that at next board meeting. That's all I have in terms of staff report. There is an item after the staff report for board reports. So I wanted to yield the floor to the president.
I really don't even know what to say at this moment for board reports.
So,
What would Jeff say?
I don't know.
so I know the ad hoc committee, if you want to call that a board, we've got nothing to report, right?
I thought, did we not disband a little bit after that presentation?
I don't think we disbanded.
Did we not?
Did we disband?
Because it was being implemented.
I think we're still intact.
Yeah, we're still here.
I was testing you. It's good.
Okay, so no new board reports at all? Okay.
You did great. Job, Greg.
Great job tonight, y'all. I guess this is a great place to put that. Thank you all for your hard work and dedication and being here this late. And your presence is much appreciated by not only ourselves, but by the city of Helotes. Future agenda items.
Yes, sir. I just wanted to point out that in the near term, in addition to bringing back the items that were discussed under individual consideration, we'll be bringing forward a strategic marketing plan that will include branding and a marketing program that will support our recruitment goals, but also talk with you about offering virtual office accommodations at the business center, which would allow for small businesses to use the business center as their registration location and be able to receive mail through the business center. I believe that there's a mailbox that we are in the process of investigating and getting access to for additional tenants that would be able to benefit from using the business center as their mailing address. I think that's all I have technically on the agenda, so I can't really say anything more than that right now.
Okay, well, I look forward to the next meeting and when you can say more. With that, we will adjourn at 21:22.